Well, hello, Mel and Crime, Nico, and Chris G. Well, I'm nervous tonight. Thank you, Mel. Hello, Babs, Lake, and there's our auto. And I think there was a delay. Can you all hear me okay? Everything good now? Hi, Rosie. Lady Fierce. Yeah, I had my YouTube still up. Am I echoing now? Okay, so did everybody get my hellos? I didn't miss anybody, did I? And Babs, you're right. This is a sad case. I'm still echoing. Chicken dinner. Yes, that is a picture of Bam Bam. I don't have him anymore. The green cheek conure. You know, I'm nervous. I've been rushing. Had Bible study tonight, which was wonderful. First one since, the virus. Rush home. Let my dogs out. Start supper. I had to make a couple of really important phone calls. So, yeah, this is a very sad case. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm not sure they had the right person. That's my opinion. Um, but I did link where I got my research from um, in the description. Of course, Lord Narts didn't have anything on this. I was really shocked. And some other channels that I like did not either. True Crime Garage did. They did a part 1 and part 2. Chris G sent me a couple really good articles. The first one had all of the information, and then right before I came on, I caught a video by it's called Mourned, I think. Uh, she did a pretty good job, and I think actually she gave me some information that I hadn't caught in anything else. That I didn't know they had another suspect. One of the farmers was a suspect. But anyways, we're going to wait a little bit for everybody to get in here. So, hi, Ivy. Thank you, lady. I hope so. I will with all of your help. Oh, really, Ivy? So you were already familiar with this probably. It is such a it's really sad. It's 43 years old. It happened 7 years after, well, I was 7 years old when this happened. You know, and it's scary because I used to go to summer camp all the time. So they shut that camp down after this. It's not been open since. You know, I did not notify my mods. Hi, Ohio. I should probably notify. That's how much rushed I was tonight, guys. Let me notify Sharon. And 10. And Miss Radar. Okay. So we had a pretty good weekend, though, didn't we, huh? Crime was live Friday, Society Saturday, Mel last night. We had some good lives going on, didn't we? And Ivy, thank Chris G. He's the one who requested that I do this. Did you like? They do a really good job too. I really like True Crime Garage. Yes, yes, Ivy and Chris, I may need your help. I'm gonna wait just a few more for some people to come in. Hi, Sharon. Bella Fiore. I watched a lot, Chris, so I might have, another YouTuber I like, I don't know, you guys may or may not, at least she pops up a lot when I do research. That's Kendall Ray. She didn't have anything on this one either, though, but I like some of her stuff. Really, lady, yes, it is. It is very sad, and I think the saddest part is that they were so stuck on this one suspect, even though I don't think the evidence, really 100% proved. And then when he was acquitted, they just quit looking, you know. And I've seen that in several cases, and I just hate that when they do that. Yes, it's wonderful to see our Otto back. I don't know where he's been. I thought he'd left us. No, I knew better than that. Hi, Ken. I'm sorry, guys. I was so rushed tonight, and so I forgot to notify everybody. And then I'm like, well, I better let my mods know. So I guess we'll go ahead and start. So, okay, this is the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders, also known as, when I searched for it, it popped up as Camp Scott murders. And this happened in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, suburb of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the victims, sadly, were Lori Lee Farmer, 8 years old, Michelle Heather Goose, 9, Doris Denise Milner, 10. And my notes are sloppy. I wrote them down as fast as I could. This was the first camp of the season. Now, I've got conflicting stories here too, because some say 2 months before, and some say 2 weeks before. Hi, Cher. Oh, really, Ivy? Okay. Well, the article I read said Broken Arrow, but that's okay. Look on it, my notifications keep popping up. But yeah, he did, Sharon. Yeah, and I also saw that too, Christy, where they said that on the last video I watched tonight. So anyways, but like I said, I saw conflicting stories because some say it happened this, what I'm getting ready to say, 2 months before, and then some say 2 weeks before, that a note was left, that the counselors were in the training session before the camp started. And her things were ransacked through, and her donuts came up missing, and a pair of glasses. But in the donut box, there was a note left vowed to murder 3 campers. She told the camp director, and the camp director treated it as a prank. I've got wrote beside that, shaking my head. Yeah, Ivy. I tend to want to agree to the 2 weeks too, because I kind of wonder, like, well, why would they be there training 2 months before? The 2 weeks makes more sense. But anyways, I got conflicting, I heard both. So, they were there on the 12th, Sunday on the 12th. And let me see, guys, because I want to make sure True Crime Garage, my notes from them, it says the tents were named after the Indiana native area. The counselors were 16 and up, no male counselors. And the camp held up to 140 girls with 30 counselors. And the counselors didn't stay with the children in their tents. I thought that was odd. Whenever I went to summer camp, we always had a counselor in our tent. And they weren't very visible to the counselors either. The counselors had their own tent. Now, something else I noticed too, yeah, 16 seems young. And I'm sorry if I miss your comments, guys. Hi, Lala, because I'm looking at my notes. They call them tents, but they looked more like cabins to me from the photos with like flaps on them. Denise really didn't want to go. She's the one that really didn't want to go. And then she also wanted to call home because she was starting to feel homesick, but the counselor kind of talked her out of it. Felt like it would be worse on her if she called home. And that counselor's name was Cecilia Stahl. So they went through their normal routines that day, and that was June 12th, 1977. And they read a story, Winnie the Pooh story to them. After dinner, I think they did some music and so on. And Lori and Doris, Denise, and Michelle, because I think they called Denise or Doris Denise as well. I heard her referred to that a lot. But those three obviously stayed in the same tent together. The counselors went around telling everybody lights out and everything. So Cecilia Stahl, one of the counselors, she hears a young girl screaming in the woods in the middle of the night. This girl doesn't say who, sleepwalking, puts her back to bed. Another was heard screaming and said someone grabbed her raincoat while walking from bathroom. Now, this is from True Crime, yeah. So I thought, okay, oh, hi, early riser. Didn't see you come in, but I see 10 saying hi to you. I hope I have not missed anybody coming in. I'm not seeing all the comments because I'm reading my notes. But I'm going to stop right there. So, okay. You see one sleepwalking. Okay, you put her back to bed. But then you see another, or you heard another screaming, and she tells you someone grabbed her raincoat while walking from the bathroom. You don't do anything about that. You just, okay. So, anyways, then later on through the night, the counselor hears some more noises, like moaning or what have you. She goes out with the flashlight. She doesn't see anything. The noise stops. Yeah, it turns into the 13th, Chris. But it started, the camp started on the 12th, but it turns into the 13th, the middle of the night. Thank you for that, Chris. She hears noises. She goes out with her flashlight. She doesn't see anything, and the noises stop. So she's headed back. She hears the noises again, doesn't see anything. Now, one of the other campers, one of the girls said they saw a man come to their tent, open the flap, but then he leaves. Yes, Chris. Noises happened around 1:30. And also, let's clarify that their tent was what they called the Kauai tent, if I'm pronouncing that right. And it was the farthest one away from the counselors and the closest to the woods or the main road. So, yeah, Rosie. Thanks for pointing that out because that refreshed my memory on that. And so yeah, 1977. Ivy says it's pretty common in the area at that time. Flashlight was stolen and found, Chris. So the counselor gets up around 5, right? 5:30 or somewhere around there to go take a shower. And on her way, she sees one of the girls because she sees the sleeping bag, right? Kiowa. Yeah. Thank you, Ivy. Kiowa. As every tent was named after, it was natively named, if I say that right, or Cherokee. Yeah, that was the first suspect crime. That was Jerry Schroff. Because they found, they tried to say the duct tape was his. But, so, hold on a minute, guys. Hold on. I'm going to share this with you. This is the most informational article, I think. Let me see here. Yeah, here we go. The discovery of the bodies. See, this is where I got the broken arrow, guys. It said the girls were, residents of. Okay, you guys were right. So a camp counselor on her way to the shower found a girl's body in her sleeping bag in the forest. It was soon discovered that all 3 girls in tent number 8 had been killed. Their bodies had been left on a trail leading to the showers, about 150 yards from their tent at summer camp. Subsequent testing showed that they had been raped, bludgeoned, and strangled. A large red flashlight was found on top of the girls' bodies. A fingerprint was found on the lens, but it has never been identified. A footprint from 9.5 shoe size was also found in the blood in the tent. Between 2:30 and 3 a.m. on June 13th, a landowner heard quite a bit of traffic on a remote road near the camp. So then the aftermath, the suspect, Jean Leroy Hart, had been at large since '73 after escaping from the Mayes County Jail. He had been convicted of kidnapping and raping 2 pregnant women, as well as 4 counts of first-degree burglary. Hart was raised about a mile from Camp Scott. Hart, a Cherokee, was arrested within a year at the home of Cherokee Medicine Man. He was represented by Garvin A. Isaacs, a local Oklahoma attorney. He was tried in March '79, although the local sheriff pronounced himself 1,000% certain that Hart was guilty. A local jury acquitted him. On June 4, '79, he collapsed and died after about an hour of lifting weights and jogging in the prison exercise. 2 of the families later sued the Magic Empire Council and its insurer for $5 million, alleging negligence. The civil trial included discussion of the threatening note and the fact that Tent 8 was 86 yards from the counselor's tent. In '85, by a 9-3 vote, jurors decided in favor of Magic Empire. By that time, Hart was already dead. As a convicted rapist and jail escapee, he still had 305 years of his 308-year sentence left to serve in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. DNA testing. DNA testing was done and proved that in DNA testing at the time, 3 of the 5 probes matched Hart's DNA, making the chance Hart was the killer. 1 in 7,700. In 2008, authorities conducted new DNA testing on stains found on a pillowcase, the results of which proved inconclusive because the samples were too deteriorated to obtain a DNA profile. In 2017, $30,000 in donations were raised by the sheriff in order to do new DNA tests using the latest advances in testing. Richard Goose, the father of one of the 3 victims, went on to help the state legislature pass the Oklahoma Victims Bill of Rights. He also helped found the Oklahoma Crime Victims Compensation Board. Another parent, Sherry Farmer, founded the Oklahoma chapter of Parents of Murdered Children support group. Maybe that's not the right one. That's not the one Chris sent me before. I'm sorry, guys, but so he was the first suspect, Chris? I thought Jerry Schroff was. No, Mel, his shoe size did not fit. Hart's shoe size was 11.5. He also had a vasectomy, but the sheriff and prosecutor argued that it wasn't a full vasectomy and he could still, No, there's not, Kadeen. We're not talking about Delphi. We're talking about, I'm sure you saw the subject we're talking about. Yeah, the shoe size didn't match. And also, Chris and Ivy, let's see. They searched because Hart had escaped from jail or prison, no, the jail, and his cave let's see. The shoe print was found. Oh, another thing that breaks my heart, guys. Oh, Kadeen, that was a while ago. I'm sorry, I don't talk on Delphi anymore for a few reasons. So Society does a weekly on that, and there's quite a few other YouTubers, but I don't talk on it anymore. I'm sorry. Another thing about this that broke my heart, guys, is that the parents were notified by phone. Now, is that normal back in those days? I don't know. Ivy, I mean, since you were from Oklahoma, I don't know, but when I heard that, I thought, oh, how awful. I mean, not they couldn't tell them in person. Oh, Lake, I must have missed that about the homeless man. Ivy, yes, they did. They found a note, a marking in the cave 3 years later that said the real killer was here. I think they said 3 years later. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris. And then the photo that I was getting ready to say that Hart had been hiding also out at a friend with the name of Pigeon, and they searched the entire place and found nothing at that time. But then when they had went back, they did find some photos they didn't find the first time. Rumors having it that the sheriff had those photos in his desk, so they are trying to say he planted those photos there. Now, and I'm going to take you there if I can, because I want you guys to see these comments that were left on True Crime Garages in case you didn't see them. Wasn't there a Boy Scout camp murder as well? I don't know, Mel. That would be interesting. Was it in Oklahoma? Well, Chris, they say about the pillow, I thought I had that wrote down. Maybe I didn't, or maybe I heard it in the last. I was listening to the one YouTube that I linked by Mourned as I was doing supper, and I think that's where that came out. Yes, and like the whole Native American, you know, stood by for him. I mean, came up. I mean, it was like they were all on his side. They all felt, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. In a way, I kind of feel like I don't really think. I mean, I mean, I, there's still things to be talked about, I think, but at the end here tonight, I think we can maybe give our opinions on how we feel, if we think he was the one or not. I just think after he was acquitted, I just don't like when, I've seen this in a lot of cases when the evidence really doesn't hold up, and then when people are acquitted and then they're like, no, we're not gonna keep looking because this was our guy. We really feel like this was our guy, so we're not gonna look any further. But I just don't think when the evidence is really, really there, because I don't feel like it really, really was, but that's my opinion. I mean, I'm not an expert, but he did have You know, he was in prison for rape, but he didn't kill those women or do half to those women what had happened to these girls. Yeah, they did do testing. You're right, Nico. It did, Ivy. Well, and another interesting thing, if I hadn't already said it because I was going to, was that, oh, I was going to take you to, hopefully this doesn't make me echo. It usually doesn't. So hold on a second, please. Where's part 1? Okay, here we go.
To you. Thanks for listening.
I just want you guys to see the comments. Of this one comment. Maybe it was on the part 2. Must have been on part 2.
In Los Angeles.
I think it's this one. Okay, it says, I have followed this case ever since I was little because my favorite female cousin who was older than me was supposed to go to Camp Scott, Girl Scout camp that summer. I have always known there was something really weird about this case. Like the head sheriff's or lead investigator's daughter was supposed to be in tent 8 with the 8-year-old and 10-year-old girls. And like right before everyone went to their tents for the night, the counselors told her and the 9-year-old girl to switch tents. Plus the girls, the head sheriff's or lead investigator's daughter was moved to, in parentheses, were supposed to go over to tent 8 and play with the girls there. However, none of the girls could find their shoes or sandals, but the next morning, all their shoes and sandals were sitting in a pile out in front of their tent. Their sandals and all of the counselors' purses and sunglasses were taken too. Another thing that has always seemed fishy is there were never many pictures taken of the crime scene. As well, there was several size 9 or 9.5 army boot tracks found throughout the camp the next morning. When they tried saying Gene Leroy Hart did it, he wore size 11 or 11.5. But yet the lead investigator and prosecutor kept crying out the moisture and rain made the tracks smaller in size than they were, that without a doubt they were his tracks. Likewise, when they said they had found Hart's sperm inside 2 of the girls and it was revealed that Hart had a vasectomy, the prosecutor cried, foul, foul, the vasectomy was done wrong and or was done incorrectly, without ever having Hart's procedure checked or anything. Furthermore, the prosecutor claimed the blood and semen found on the crime scene was damaged, later changing it to, though the blood and semen found was damaged, it was type O negative, same as Hart's. Then when it was shown Hart's was type O plus, the prosecutor tried claiming the moisture and rain at the crime scene tainted the blood to read incorrectly, which is scientifically impossible, that it was indeed Hart's blood and semen left. When all the evidence pointed towards someone else committed this horrific crimes, the prosecutor and lead sheriff would never considered looking at anyone else possibly having committed the crimes. Plus, the fingerprint found on the flashlight lens wasn't Hart's. Then all the supposed items found in both Hart's mother's house and or in the cave that supposedly from the campground and from Tent 8 itself belonging to the girls killed, why weren't there pictures taken showing exactly where the items were located and or retrieved from? It just leaves way too much open, giving me a feeling like the cops set this up in an attempt to close this case quickly and not have anyone truly looking into it. Lastly, they claim all the evidence is in the state FBI office, but there was some information leaked out that most of the evidence has become deteriorated and no longer available for further testing. So, I thought that was interesting. I don't know who that person is. I mean, it could be, you know, I don't know. But I mean, considering I don't think rain can make a shoe print smaller. I mean, not to my knowledge. Oh, Ivy, no, you don't, you don't, nobody has to do homework. It's just, Rosie, one night, I was doing a case. Somebody had asked me to do a certain case, and then something had happened. I'd had an emergency come up or something, so I updated and said I wasn't going to be able to be on. Rosie commented and said, "Oh, shucks, I done my homework too." So now everybody just, if I'm doing something on a certain case, then people, they do some research or whatever to just join in the discussion. So no, nobody, you don't have to do, it just, if you guys want to look into it, you know, and we tease sometimes, like Cher, she's been put in the corner. I missed some comments. I'm sorry, guys. But I mean, there are some things, I mean, if that's true that his daughter was supposed to be in the tent and then moved, and then, I mean, there was a note left um, that they knew possibly, they put it off as a prank. They didn't really think anything was going to happen. Um, Chris says, yes, Cher, there was homework. Cher didn't do her homework again. Cher's got suspension. Did they, Lake? Hmm. See, where I get myself in trouble is I watch so many different to try to get as much info as I can, and then I take notes when I'm up here at my computer, but then a lot I watch, when I go down to go to bed, and then I try to get all that in my head, but I'm not taking notes. So then I confuse myself. Yeah, I mean, did they know ahead of time that he was staying so close to the camp? I don't know. I don't know. But the main thing is it is a very, very cold case. I also linked an interview of the family of, I think it's Lori's family. I mean, they're still seeking justice. They still have faith that justice will come. And as a family, you never want to give up. But the one YouTube that I did, that I linked by Mourned, that's from 2 months. That's from March of this year. So I'm like, good for you for, keeping this case alive, because, that's really recent. Because a lot, when you search on YouTube for, YouTube's related to this case, there's not real recent ones. Being 43 years ago, we have to think, yeah, we want the person responsible identified, and if possible, the case reopened. But we also have to look at the possibility of, well, how old would the person be at that time, and are they still alive? That's what my mom said, because she asked me, well, what are you doing tonight? What are you talking about tonight? So I told her. And she's like, well, and I said, well, it could have been a very young person. It does, Tin, you're right, from a horror movie, yes. It's very scary. I used to go to summer camp all the time. I loved it. I saw another comment on there. Somebody said, this is why my mom won't let me go to camp. Oh, I can take, you want me to put myself on there, guys? I got my hair up. I look like crud, but I will. Oh, hold on. I gotta take my, hello. Yeah, Cold or Mel, there might be more victims, you know? Cheryl have her ma write her an excuse. Quite a few horror movies loosely based on it. Yeah. I mean, there are a lot of YouTubes on it. There's documentaries. Um, as a matter of fact, last night when I went to bed and I was searching, somebody was supposed to write a book on it, but they have not yet, or it's not. Miss America, I wish. Oh, just my house a mess, my kitchen's a mess. I don't care. But well, yeah, Mel, and I mean, some people live a long time. I mean, my great grandma lived way, way, way in her 90s. I mean, deep into her 90s. Oh, so what's everybody think? I mean, it sounds like a lot of us don't think he did it. I don't think he did it. I mean, I think he was an awful guy. He was a sicko. I mean, he raped two women. Might have to refresh my memory, guys. I know one of them was pregnant. Were they both? But he didn't kill them. He didn't do the things to them that were done to these girls. And then he committed burglary. You know, he didn't get hard time for rape, but he did for burglary. I heard that in almost every YouTube I listen to. It's a shame, you know, you commit a violent act. Rape is a violent act, and you don't get very much time. But burglary, which he 4 counts, and he got 300 and some years. Which burglary can be violent too, depending on how you do it, you know. Oh, that could be Ivy. Those movies are scary. You know, I can't watch scary movies anymore. I used to love horror movies. I used to, and I'm going to tell you my favorite ones were Jason and Michael Myers. They were my favorite movies. Yeah, I think the sheriff had something to do with it. I mean, I don't know if he had anything to do with the actual killings, but I think he had something to do with setting this guy up. But then again, if his daughter was supposed to be in that tent and then moved, which we don't have any proof of that, that was a comment that was left. That was hearsay. But I do think, but I don't think this Hart guy is responsible for the killings. I think the killer may still be out there. That's just my opinion. Otto says you can fit a foot into larger, but not smaller. Maybe a female killer. Oh, that's something else. Where did I see? One of the family members thought a female was involved. One of the families thought a female was involved. So I don't know if they thought one of the counselors were involved or just an outside female. So thank you, Otto, because you just refreshed my memory. See how much help you are when you come, Otto? And when you're not here, you really distress me. And hello, Christine. I did not see you come in. I'm sorry. And anybody that I have missed that has come in, I'm sorry. I was reading my notes, so I wasn't able to look at the chat. I apologize if I've missed comments or welcoming. Oh, Rosie, you know what? And I love True Crime Jesus. I do. I do. But I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be quite honest with all of you guys. That video straight scared the bejeebies out of me. Yes, it did. You know why? Because it's so true. It really gets you thinking. Not to get off topic here, guys, but it really does. It gets you thinking about how you think you might know somebody, or you think you can trust somebody because they're supposed to be this kind of person, or you think you know what I mean? You know where I'm going? And I mean, it was just so spot on, especially and we're not talking Delphi, but especially for the Delphi killer, which is what he is talking about. And I mean, it straight scared the bejeebies out of me. Yes, that scared me. I told my husband, I said, watch this video. It scared me to death. Ivy says, I wonder what's going on with the movie. They've been talking about making it for 10 years. Well, Ivy, I think they should get on that. It would bring some focus and some exposure to it. I didn't know about a movie, but I did hear about a book. Chris, I can't watch them anymore. I used to love horror movies. I don't know, just all of a sudden, and especially these kinds they make today. They're to me they're more evil than, I used to like the scary movies that were like, you know, that could be like real, lifelike, that could really happen, not like fake stuff or anything. They don't even really make those anymore. These movies they come up with today are just, ugh. Even the previews are, ugh. Well, Rosie, that's interesting that you bring that up because, a lot of us, at least for me, when I hear serial killer, I think man. But I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are. Um, what are those two? What's those two serial killer, or those two that, you know, for a while everybody was saying they thought they were the Delphi killers? Those two, that guy and that girl. Really, Chris? See, my thing is I'm not good with maps. I'm not good with maps. I'm not. And that's why I say, for instance, getting back on Delphi, those maps and stuff, Gray Hughes he's good with the Google Maps and all that, but they don't mean anything really. You really got to go there. You really do to see it and know it, and I mean it just doesn't. What comment, Otto? I'm sorry. Yes, Chris. And the family thinks that. Yeah, early riser. I used to love them. I can't anymore. Oh, and Wednesday night, guys. Well, I have church for one, but Society's having early riser on there on her show. Um, and us YouTubers that are close, we don't like to step on each other's toes. And I won't be able to go on earlier than her because of church, so I probably won't be on Wednesday because Society's going to be on. And we'll all want to be over there anyway, right? Yeah. Um, Now let's see. Mel had said something up here. What did Mel say? It's not that uncommon, Rosie. It was in the myths section I read about for yesterday. Weird. Crime says, my first instinct was that it was the camp counselor. Well, the family didn't come out and say that I know of. I mean, somebody else might know something, but I didn't see or hear that. I just know they think a female is involved. Maybe it's possible, I mean, I it's very horrific, though. It's very horrific, and I don't know that it was this was all set up by as far as the sheriff or anything like that. But I do think it, as far as heart goes, I think that was. I think it was convenient for them. He'd been on the run for 4 years. He was staying nearby, um, and I think it was just a convenient for them to say, "Oh, look, let's get him. He's, you know, he's been charged with rape. He's, and quick and easy, shut and close." That's just my opinion, though. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't know. That's just what I have come up with. Oh, yes. Okay. Now, see, now I know what Ivy's talking about. Chris says the movie was titled Candles, that was supposed to be released. But I thought the book was too. Maybe I'm wrong. Ivy says there was a Boy Scout camp that was within walking distance. What do you guys think about them? Well, Ivy, that's a good, interesting point, because that's what I told my mom. I said, because, my mom said that it could be that the person is no longer alive, because of how long ago this happened. I said, well, Mom, it could have been somebody very young. It could have been more than one person, because that's something that came to my mind too right away. It's like, okay, there's 3 victims, and my husband was sitting here when I was, he was watching some of the videos with me, and I told him, I'm like, I think really one person did this by themselves. Then I'm like, well, unless he did it one by one. But that's a good point, Ivy, because it could have been older teenagers, um, and more than one. Another one of those, anything's possible, right, guys? Well, hi, Harvey. How are you? We researched the Scout case a little. I can't really remember what my thoughts were in it. No, Mel, I don't have any samples of that. They didn't, anything I watched, I don't know if Chris does, or Ivy, or Harvey, maybe. If he's researched it, he might have something. They didn't have, like somebody mentioned earlier, they didn't have a lot of pics of anything. Oh, that was in those comments. Well, Harvey, you don't remember your thoughts at all? Did you think they had the right guy, though, or can you remember? I don't think they did. That's my opinion. Yeah, there was a lot of blood in the, Christine, there was a lot of blood in the cabin, on the beds. They took all the bed sheets and everything with the bodies and put them in the sleeping bags. I don't know why they did that. Um, But yet the sounds, the counselor said she heard in the woods. So now I also started to watch an interview of the counselor. It was part 2, but I was running out of time, so I had to get in here. I can't even remember where or what YouTube it was on. And then I'm like, well, I don't want to watch part 2 without part 1 anyway. But it was the counselor, Cecilia. The map was weird. The number of people. Something with the flashlight. Yeah. It's all kind of weird, Harvey. Yeah, Mel. It very well could be. I'm glad you're doing good, Harvey. Chris says, I've heard of multiple suspects possibly linked to the murders. Yeah. Mel. No, they were all. Oh, here's another thing. They were all in the sleeping bags. Here's another thing I've got wrote down. Let me find it. Peter Weavers, that's the sheriff. First on scene. The body temp was 70 degrees at 7 a.m. Wilkerson wrote book. Okay, there's the book thing. Someone Cry for Children. Wheat, the reporter, he was very disturbed and still is to this day. At 10 a.m., 2 bags, sleeping bags, had still not been opened or checked. And that's Wilkerson noted. Now, Wheat's the reporter, but Wilkerson, it says Agent Wilkerson noted that at 10 a.m., 2 sleeping bags had still not been opened or checked. Now, is that weird or what? But yeah, they were all in their sleeping bags, Mel. Stuffed in there, zipped up. Yes, crime. Yes. One of the campers. Crime is right on that. However, the counselor tried to, I don't want to say she tried to play it down, but she said that the girl may have, I can't remember how she worded it, but that she may not have really seen that or something. I can't remember how she said. I can't even remember how she worded it. Say what again, Mel? About the girls in the sleeping bags. At 10 a.m., 2 sleeping bags, and I'm assuming because the one sleeping bag was by itself, it wasn't with the other 2. They had still not been opened or checked. Agent Wilkerson noted that. But at 7 a.m., the body temp of the first one was 70 degrees. So still warm. Lake says flashlight had a material over lens and some newspaper in with the batteries. Weird. Christine, I think that counselor found them sneaking back into the campsite. Those girls were probably unattended all night. She had to cover her tracks and inserted information into the case that made it hard. Yes, they were unattended. I mean, like I said, when I went to summer camp, I don't know about the rest of y'all, but we always had a counselor in our tent or cabin, whatever. Um, I mean, I I think I would have been scared to death if we didn't. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but that's how we. Yes, Ivy, there is. There is. I was going to link that too. I should have, but if you search on YouTube Oklahoma Girl Scout murders, that will pop up. And that's why I titled this Camp Scott / Oklahoma Murders, because when I searched Oklahoma Murders, Camp Scott came up also, and I found some YouTubes on that. So that's why my title says what it does, guys. Right, Ivy, why? I don't know. Ivy, do you know? Or Chris, is there a military base close to there? I'm not sure what the temp was that night, Mel. Oklahoma is usually pretty. Well, wait a minute. Did they mention that? I don't know if they mentioned that in any of what I watched. But I think I do recall. I do know somebody besides MC that lives in Oklahoma, and they do say it's usually pretty hot. Yeah, Harvey, I'm thinking I am kind of leaning to an accomplice. And the families do think a female was involved, or one of the families. I just can't remember which one. I think it was Lori's or maybe Denise's, which would be Doris, but they call her Denise a lot. Yeah, Rosie, it's really nuts. Chris picks these cases out for me. He really gets our brains thinking, doesn't he? I think Chris has a real big heart for cold cases. Don't you, Chris? Which I mean, we all do, but Yeah, Ivy, I think you're right. Christine says Fort Smith is kind of close. To answer your question, Mel, or I mean, Crime. Oh, and Crime, I'm so sorry. I'm going to go back and watch your live. I was at Bible study. My phone was on silent, but I seen it flash. And then when I got home, I wanted to pop in real quick. I had to get supper going, and then I had 2 really important phone calls to make. It looks like you've bypassed me. Music, my gosh. But why take them out of the cabin they were killed in? I know, Mel. I don't know. I mean, that's why it's like, I mean, they had to have killed them in the cabin because there was blood there. But then I thought, the counselor swears she heard noises out in the woods. But see, I don't know. Early riser, I'm really excited about Wednesday. Can't wait. In the 80s at night. Woo, that's still, woo. And I can't remember if, well, they didn't have no air in there because they had flaps. Man, imagine how hot in the daytime then. I don't think so, Harvey, because um, there were stains all over. There were blood stains on the bed. They took the bed sheets, and they were also in the sleeping bags. So it's just not making sense. Okay, Cher. I'm still not down all the way on my comments. I'm sorry, guys. Secondly, possibly reported activity they didn't agree with at the camp. True. Uh, I think it's one of the two I read in that article, Ivy. I think it's Lori's family, Lori Farmers, or Denise, which is Doris Denise Milner, but they call her Denise. I think it's one of those two. But I linked both articles in the description along with um, the YouTubes that I liked. Yeah, no drag marks, Harvey. Can I pull up the area? No, I can try. Let me see here. So here's the counselor's tent. Here's the victim's tent. Hold on a second. Trying to find body location right there. Kiowa campsite. And it only shows 7, but I remember them saying 7 is now 8. There's the gate. It says body location. Staff house. Red Barn. Is that at the farmer's? Murder site. So here's Hart's mother's house. Camp Scott front gate, back gate. Still not showing. There's the victims. Lori, Michelle, Doris Denise. Unexplained. I'm going to, let me see. I'm going to link this in here for you guys because it has a whole lot of stuff in there. Info on that. That could be true, Harvey. Otto says there was a lot of military surplus around in that time period. Yeah, there are a lot of theories, Ivy. Yeah. You're welcome, Crime. That's awesome. That's cool, Crime. That's a good point. That's a good point, Mel. Yeah. Who takes donuts? Kids. That is a good point. Or, yeah, Nick, cops. 80s, but their bodies were 70. Yeah, Ivy, we are today. I'm not sure what it is right now, but I know the rest of the week we're going to be. It's 68 right now, but the rest of the week we're going to be in the 90s. It's going to cool down at night, but supposed to anyway. Yes, Chris, why disregard the note? And I don't know, I don't know if it was normal in that area or way back then, but they called the parents to tell them their children had been murdered. I'm like, how awful, to notify them by phone. Right, Rosie, right. In the article, it said that it was Lori's mom, Chris, that thought it was there was a female involved. So, so we had that settled. Seems purposeful, Chris. Strange. Why not just take the donuts and leave the note out? Yeah. No, Harvey, they did not call the police. She told the director, and the director just said, probably a prank. They didn't think a thing about it. They didn't take it serious. Wonder where that was, Mel. Yeah, yeah, you're correct, Nick. Didn't take it serious at all. That's the story we get. No, Christine, they got it shut down that day. It's been shut down ever since. And I even watched a YouTube where somebody, oh, was it Mr. Davis or something? I can't remember. He walked the whole camp, went through the empty cabins and stuff, and it's very abandoned. Good question. I don't know, Christine. They didn't provide it anywhere that I've seen, anyways, Harvey. They just said that they left a note in the empty donut box, vowing to kill 3 campers. And they didn't take it serious. They just thought it was a prank. Just like they didn't have, anywhere that I have seen, no pic of in the cave that Hart had hidden out at. Like 3 years later, somebody had put a note in there. I'm assuming it was like engraved in there. That maybe it was just a regular note left, but I took it as they engraved it. The real killer was here. But I've not seen a photo of that either. Yeah, Christine, the camp itself is still there. Okay, Harvey. Interesting lake. Ivy, thought I saw something about some tennis shoes. It is a strange one, Mel. Hoffman said she took the note to the camp director. Later, Hoffman learned several girls had confessed to writing the notes, and the note was thrown away. Oh, I didn't ever see that, Ohio. I don't remember hearing that. Huh. Wait a minute. Several girls? What girls? Campers? Because they weren't there yet. This training session happened before the camp even. The session was going on before the camp had even started. So that is odd. Oh, there is a photo, Ivy. Okay. Yes, Mel. Camp Scott in Locust Grove. No, it's not open. I know I'm late on the comments. I'm trying to scroll down. I made it. Well, hello, Kat. Kat is in the house. Guys, will you excuse me for a moment? I gotta get my drink out of the freezer. It's probably froze. Mother, your supper's done. I didn't see Kat come in because I was way up there on comments. Thank you for joining us. Okay, thank you, Ohio. Yeah, I missed that. But I'm wondering how they could say that, because if they're talking about campers, because the campers weren't there yet. Hmm. Well, I know somebody on one of the comments on one of the YouTubes, I can't remember, True Crime Garage, I think, they said something about the Circleville letters, which I've not heard of before. I joined late and lost some minutes just now because of my Bluetooth, but for now, I just have one question. Who can pull off 8 murders in one night? Three murders, early riser. If you're talking about the case we're talking about, it was 3 young girls, an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, and a 10-year-old. Unless you know something else about it, early riser. I just talked to Kat today. Well, that was one of my important phone calls I was talking about that I had to make. I was telling them, Kat, that I was in such a rush tonight. So I was a little nervous when I got on because I had Bible study and had to start supper, and then I had 2 important phone calls to make. You were one of them. Well, if there was a Boy Scout camp, sorry, I'm eating, nearby, I think that's possible. And like I said, I don't want to go and say that, I'm not sure that the sheriff was involved in the killing, but I definitely think the guy that they tried to prosecute, I definitely think he was set up. I think it was quick and easy, you know, but that's just my opinion. No, I'm sorry, Ivy. Let me go back. Both the socks and shoes were wet. That's interesting. Yes, Christine. Right. It was obviously somebody that knew the camp was, they were starting up the camp. And they left the note. I mean, the note obviously wasn't a prank, but that's interesting what Ohio said, where they said later they found out it was several girls, if they're referring to campers, because the campers weren't there until, like I said, conflicting stories there, because they say the training session happened 2 months, or like I said, I heard 2 weeks too. But the training session happened before the camp started, so it couldn't have been campers. That was the first camp of the season. Yes, Ivy, I remember that. Oh, shoot. Oh, man. Nico. Oh, oh, no, I didn't. I thought I hid Nick. I didn't. Whew. I just showed his comment. But then when it highlights, it says hide, show. It just means, yeah, they'd have to, Ivy. They would have to. Why would counselors do that, though? You'd think that would automatically make them suspects then, right? Tag was left on stair in front of the building, and security said it wasn't there an hour prior. Wow. Sounds like Ellie didn't know where to turn with first murder. Then there are 2 more dead. Room for a real botched investigation. Yeah. Well, well, they probably just made it wet, Harvey. I mean, they probably soaked it somehow and then put it there. Yeah, Mel. So I don't really think there's a connection there to Delphi then, because that the Delphi guy doesn't do that. He doesn't taunt. Mel wants to know if anyone has coordinates for the cave. And that's true, Ivy. Really, Ivy? I didn't know that. Did you know that, Chris? 3 caves? I didn't know that. So, Chris, are you still here, Chris? Yes, Ivy, please send it to me. There's my email. Oh, early riser, you don't have to apologize, and you don't have to do homework either. I wanted to know Chris's opinion, what he thinks. Oh, I never, believe it or not, I have not ever seen Wilson's Cave or been there. You guys probably heard me slurp. I'll quit eating. I just had to get a little bit on my stomach. Thank you, Ivy. So, I mean, I'm not sure who I think did it, but I definitely don't think as awful of the things that Hart did. I don't think he's the guy that did it. And I don't know if the sheriff and the prosecutor just wanted to, appease the families and, just hurry up and close the case. And they thought, okay, he's the best candidate for this, and and that's why they went after him. I don't know. Or if they really did try to set him up. I don't know. Sounds like it. I have a question that I should know the answer to, but I don't. All 8 were murdered on the same night, correct? Just 3 were murdered, early riser. But yes, on the same night. Huh, Christine? Well, maybe, and then there's a chance that, it would be horrible that, but people do crazy things. I mean, maybe somebody wanted that camp shut down forever, and they knew that's how they could get it done, and that's terrible, but things like that happen. But why? Because it's not being used for anything else other than like what you just said, Christine. But the property itself isn't being used. I made it to the end. It takes me a while, Ivy. Yeah, Christine. So, what's y'all's opinions? I mean, I think most of you have said, come here, baby. Come here. Well, I can't click on that mail for some reason. It will only let me show it or hide it. I'll be able to afterwards. Well, come here. You won't let me pick you up. Since 1928. So, Chris, what's your opinion? What do you think? I'll be able to afterwards mail when I go back, but I know you kind of wanted me to be now. Great. I don't know why it won't let me. Nope. Stinks. There's pros and cons to StreamYard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can, Harvey. Hold on a minute. Well, maybe if I can get where I was. Where was I at, guys? That one page I was on that showed all those links. Maybe let me Google that again. Hold on, baby. Oh my goodness, are you serious? This is where I was earlier, and it had all that on the side. I can't find it now. Oh no. Hold on, Harvey. I'm looking for a better. I can't zoom in, but I can read it. June 13th, 1977, Lori Farmer, 8, Michelle Goose, 9, Denise Milner, 10, are found dead by a counselor at the Camp Scott Girl Scout camp. Investigators later determined that each girl was sexually molested. The camp, operated by the Magic Empire of Girl Scouts since 1928, closes the next day, never reopens. That's not a very good timeline. June 23rd, 77, Jean Leroy, Sonny, that's his nickname, Hart, is charged with 3 counts, first-degree murder. Hart, who has 2 rape convictions, escaped from the Mays County Jail 4 years earlier and had been at large ever since. One of the largest manhunts in state history follows, involving more than 400 law enforcement agents. That's not a very good. Oh, here's a timeline, it says. And I don't know if you guys can see that photo. That's him right there. My computer's running slow. Harvey, I'm having issues. My computer's having issues. I'm sorry. Buddy, my dog's not hungry, but welcome. Hey, Catherine. Oh, don't apologize, Catherine. Oh, Mel found the letter in the caves. Um, cool. Yep, DNA was collected, all that, but 1 to 4 people, Chris. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe more than 1 too. Baby, I know you want out. But they put molested in that article, but they were raped. Give me a few minutes, guys. You want to chit chat? I'll let my dogs out, or that's what he wants, or they all want. They're all right here. They want to go potty. I put that person in timeout, or somebody else might have. If he comes back and causes trouble, Maj, you know what to do. I will be back ASAP. Come on, guys. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. They all had to go. And I heard animals in my woods. Crackle, crackle, pop. Okay, so Bill Stevens. Share, you poor thing. It's always doing something on you, isn't it? Bill Stevens. On this case, Mel, well, I think Chris is probably right. I think there was more than one person. And it's probably safe to say, or possible, I mean, it did happen a long time ago, but it could very well be the person that was young and could still be killing, or, you know, they're maybe not anymore, but they still need to be found or caught, right? Sonny James, 16 years old. I'm lost now, Mel. You got me lost. Probably because I left. Hope that beagle's not back. It is, Ivy, especially for the families. Especially for the families. I did link the video of one of the families talking. I want to say it's Lori's. Did you send that to me, Mel, or is that what you put in here? I'll be able to see it afterwards. And everybody else in here can see it now. Well, hold on. I'm going to try to find that. We'll watch that video. It's not very long. I'll have to find it, though. It won't be hard. Did I lose you guys? Can you hear me? Okay, well, I'm sorry. I don't know what I did wrong. I know what I did wrong. No, I mean, I really don't know what I did wrong. Anyway, the video, it's linked in my description, and I guess I watched it by myself, but they do think it was Hart, but they don't think he did it alone. You don't see me? I forgot to open the tab, I think. But to answer your question, Ivy, it's Lori's farmer's family in the video, which I do have linked in the description. They do think it was Hart, but they think he had help. But I don't think it's. I still don't think Hart was involved. But I mean, I really don't. The sister says she has faith that they will get the answers, and I hope that they do. Every family, you know, with murder victims deserves that. We don't know, Harvey. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know who did what, but I hope they will find out. Hey, Hubs. Yeah, I don't know if they found blood on the flashlight. They didn't say. I don't know if they. Did they find the murder weapon, guys? I don't think I recall them finding that. But yeah, I think we can all agree this is it is very sad. It's very horrific. It is I mean, I obviously never heard of it before ever. Um, Ivy said she knew about it because that was she was from there. Um, We can thank Chris G for bringing it to our attention. He brings a lot of these cases to my attention. There's a lot that I didn't know about because where my focus was. I enjoy looking at all these different cases. It's sad, of course, but oh, I thought 2 was and 1 wasn't crime. Did I get that mixed up? Okay, Sharon. Thank you, honey, for coming. Sweet dreams to you. Angels on your pillows. I beat ya. Rest well, honey. Yeah, I don't remember them finding a murder weapon. That's I've got to look into that Billy Stevens now, but I'm lost on the other that Mel mentioned, the Sunny 16-year-old. Don't y'all just love my husband? He just pops in and says, hi. Good night, Lake. Thank you for coming, sweetie. Was it crime? Okay. Man, I tell you, I don't, oh, golly, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what could, we were talking on Mel's last night, how you could bring yourself to kill somebody. And could you? No. Only in a moment of, if it depended on your life or theirs or your kid's life, of course, if it came to that, or if it came to defending yourself or your family, your kids, grandkids, something like that, but to just go and kill somebody. But then a child, I will never in my life understand. Oh, another suspect. Okay, Mel, I gotcha. I'll just never understand that. I never, ever, ever will. Do you, Christine? I don't know, but that wasn't his MO, though. I mean, I don't think. I mean, I guess it could have progressed to that, but oh, that's interesting. Wow. Well, thanks, Hubs. Okay, crime. Rest well and have a good day tomorrow. Well, yeah, they said that, Christine, but they also said his was O negative and the other was O positive or vice versa. It was pretty messed up. Yeah, I don't care for Reddit myself. So, um, Mel has found something really interesting. So I'm going to read this to you guys because I don't have any other way of getting it there. We had the first campsite at Camp Garland and only a fourth a mile from Camp Scott. Those girls that were murdered were in the first campsite closest to Camp Garland. The first night of camp, we had 3 boys that bragged to the entire troop that they were going to go to Camp Scott that night to get some girls. They indeed went, and in the middle of the night returned and woke up a lot of us arguing. One boy was crying and saying he didn't want to get into trouble. The other 2 boys were angry and telling him to keep his mouth shut and they won't get in any trouble. The next morning, the police arrived and took all the boys, 14 years old and older, into the campsite building for questioning. I was only 12. Myself and about 10 other boys told our scoutmaster about the 3 boys and what they said and did, but they told us to shut up. Found a drunk Indian to blame this on, and they don't want to be embarrassed. I've even called KRMG and emailed Channel 8, and nobody wants to look into this. I guarantee if someone advertised to have members of Boy Scout Troop 17 come forward, you would get over a dozen that would remember those 3 boys and what they did. Those 3 girls and their families deserve justice. I ended up going to high school with 2 of those boys, and they were some of the roughest kids at Rogers High School, class of '83. I remember their names. So that was interesting. Yeah, Ivy, you do. That was pretty interesting, wasn't it? So I don't know. I still think Hart was, I mean, he wasn't a good person by no means, but I think he was an easy target for this. Yeah, no politics, please. Yeah, I mean, this is a tough case. It's Ivy didn't post it, Harvey. Cold Truth did it. It's in my chat. It's up there ways. I it just wouldn't let me click on it because I'm in yard StreamYard. I'm getting tired. I can't talk. I don't know, Chris, but that was interesting, wasn't it? What I just read. Just now, 10 or a little bit ago. I messed up. I tried to share my screen and I didn't click on a new tab. I'm sorry. But can you see me now? I'll tell you what, mosquitoes are bad around out here. I bet, Christine. Wait, yeah, Harvey, but it doesn't look like anybody wanted to treat them as such. I think I'm going to say goodnight, guys. We've been on for 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's almost midnight. I maybe have an idea on what we're going to talk about tomorrow, but I'm not sure. Going to be a surprise, so you guys don't have any homework, okay? Okay, Hubs. Seriously, though, you guys don't have to do homework. But yeah, Rosie always does hers, and then if we know what we're going to do the case on, then some people just look into it ahead of time. It just helps the discussion, but nobody, and IT share. So, okay, guys. You vacuum the mosquitoes from the ceiling. Moscatos. Hey, that's the name of a wine. Harvey, you know that? That was my favorite wine when I drank wine. I don't hardly drink at all anymore. Yes, thank you all for coming. It's been a nice chat. Yeah, they found black duct tape there. That's what they tried to blame the farmer on, one of the things. So, okay, guys. Well, I will see you tomorrow night, hopefully a little earlier, possibly. But I do thank you, and I sure appreciate each one of you. Even though we'll talk about something tomorrow, it won't hurt for us to, in the background, still, look at this and research this. And, this is interesting what I read earlier. I think we should look into that in the background. So, anyways, again, thank you all so much. See you tomorrow night. Have a good day tomorrow. You all rest well. I don't have them indoors, Harvey. They're out. Thank God. Mine too, Rosie. Mine too. Okay. Well, sweet dreams, everybody. Okay. And God bless. See you tomorrow.